Not long ago, I just put up a video about top 5 movies that I like that critics hate. So now it's time to go with the reverse. I'm going to talk about 5 movies that I hate that critics love. Now for this video for any movie to make this list, it has to have at least 60% or higher. If it does not, it will not be allowed to be in this video. So with all that said, let's get started. At number 5, I have Captain Marvel. Now, I don't absolutely hate this movie. There are some people that do, and if you do, then you kind of have reason to. It is very boring. That's one of the reasons why it was on this list. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I do not think it's particularly interesting, and it's very dull. Brie Larson is probably my biggest problem with it. She is not the way I envision Captain Marvel at all. She just is. She is not very good in the role. It feels pretty unlikable in it, and makes her seem kind of like a doofus. The way she's like, I don't even know who I am. It's just so annoying. I mean, there are some upsides. It is good to see Samuel L. Jackson playing this less cynical Nick Fury, but it just feels too annoying several times in this movie, and I get that they were going for a more lighthearted movie, but it kind of went too silly sometimes. And even Nick Fury, the fact is he goes from a guy that can crack jokes and is always smiling to the dead serious guy that has an eye that's basically now just plain old glass white and could kill you easily. That escalated quickly. And it's just a movie that I'm not the biggest fan of. And if you hate it, then you kind of have reason to, but I just really find the movie very dull. At number 4, I have Thor: The Dark World. Now, this film was very frustrating for me because on the one hand, I have nostalgia for it. This was one of the first MCU movies I ever saw. But on the other hand, the movie is dull. It's extremely boring. The story is not good, and the only and our villain is terrible because the only defining feature about Malekith is how bad he is. You haven't even heard of this guy. His name is Malekith.
Who?
And it's just really, really weird. And he's just that typical bad guy that just wants to do something bad for no reason. Well, I think that's what he did. I cannot even remember. That's how long it's been since I watched it. I remember going in a MCU marathon. I think it was last year, and watching it, I barely remember because of how bad it was. There are some upsides. I think the Thor and Loki chemistry is amazing. That's when it's at its best. And Natalie Portman, she's just not the greatest in this movie. I've never been the biggest fan of her in the MCU. She's definitely one of my least favorite characters in the MCU, and I do think Anthony Hopkins is good in the role. He's a scene stealer, but other than that, it's a dull movie with an even worse villain. In third place is Thor: Love and Thunder. Now, this is by far my least favorite of the Thor movies, and this used to be my second favorite, and it had a dramatic drop for me. Now, I think one of the reasons I just really, 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 really did not like this one was because it just plays it overly serious. It's very unbearable at times. It feels like every few seconds it needs to crack a joke, so it doesn't take itself seriously at all. If one of my biggest problems with Thor: Love and Thunder was because it would take itself so serious and was so boring and serious. This one is just way too silly. And I just really did not like that. The comedy almost never lands. Christian Bale is good in this role, don't get me wrong, but other than that, it's a movie where you get screaming goats, where you get annoying characters like Thor, and let's not forget the flick scene, and of course, just the rest of the movie. I just really wasn't a big fan of it. I don't think it's the worst film in Phase 4. I think this is a hot take. I think Doctor Strange 2 is worse than this because I at least have some fun with it, but overall a mediocre movie in my opinion. Our runner up is Frozen as well as Frozen 2. Yikes! I am not a fan of either of these movies, and a friend of mine also has this problem where we just think that both movies are just too girly, and just are absolutely terrible. The second one is awful. The first one is bad, but it has some moments, but two absolutely is terrible, and I don't find any enjoyment in any of it. And to think that there are people that actually like it more than the original, I absolutely hated the second one. Like, I usually, when I was younger, would put sequels most of the time over the original. Like, a movie is bad when a person who is biased against putting an original in the first place, which I had a problem with until I kind of got into this movie ranking thing. Your movie has a problem when your film is that bad. Like, Rise of Skywalker, like, I was instantly unimpressed when I saw it. Same thing with Frozen 2. Although that might have been because I hated Frozen. But it's just... And one of the worst things about the original Frozen is it sends a really weird message about how... It's apparently saying, like, basically almost in your face to the audience, oh, hey, kids, it's okay to get engaged on the first day of someone that you meet. Like, you can meet someone and then you can get engaged with them. That is incredibly stupid. I have no idea what they were thinking even. Like, I mean, even in writing it sounds bad, but the execution was bad. I was not a fan of the characters. Like, I thought Olaf was cute and was a scene stealer. He's the only character I really liked in the movie. I didn't like I didn't like Elsa at all. She's just always been a very bad character in my opinion, and not one that I am in the mood to rewatch. I will be rewatching both movies in preparation for Frozen 3, but other than that, I'm staying away from this franchise for a long time. But in first place is Trolls, as well as Trolls World Tour. Now, if I had to pick which one was better, then easily the original is better. Like, Trolls World Tour, I cannot stand. I think I might even like it less than Frozen 2. That is when you... And I was also on... This is one of the many sequels that I am now like, okay, that was bad. Like, I did not enjoy it at all. Like, I wasn't even the biggest fan of the original, so when I saw the second, I was like, okay, that is not funny at all. Like, they're either trying to use humor that is incredibly dated, or is just unfunny, or they're just trying to be serious and send messages that are so unbelievably stupid. Like, the fact is, Poppy and Barb, forming a girl group, I just find dumb. And in the context in which they form it is even worse. The songs are not catchy at all. Like the like the big song that you hear, you'll probably know what I'm talking about if you've seen it. That one was okay, but it is bad. And the fact is, these movies should not be positive on Rotten Tomatoes. These are... Like, both films have... This one is a 71% on Rotten Tomatoes. And Trolls is certified fresh with a 75%. Okay, yeah, that's better. And, man, I cannot stand either of these films. Like, I usually do not enjoy musicals. Like, I was fine with... Like, I think the Zombie trilogy and the... Descendants quadrilogy, now that it's been made into a fourth film, I thought those ones were good, but I just always found this very, very bad. Like, Anna Kendrick is not... I mean, she's not really a bad person, but it's just... I just didn't really like her in this movie. And I've not liked her in many films I've seen. I think I've only seen 3, and I didn't like any of them. Like, I also saw Noelle, and I didn't really like it, except for the part, like, for the first... like few minutes when it was like basically Elf as a girl. She can play the naive sort of person just like Will Ferrell, but then it goes into full blown bad. But anyway, I was not impressed with this movie at all, and Trolls was decent enough for the movie compared. This one was good compared to the second one. The second one, I have publicly trashed and will keep on doing because it does not deserve an ounce of respect. And the fact is, I now have a punishment of having to rewatch both movies in preparation for the third movie, which, hopefully will at least be better than the second movie. Like the second, if it's even worse, I am going to cry. Well, thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to, but it's completely up to you, so don't if you don't want to. And I will see you all in my next video. Have a good one.